back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Asia number 217. I'm, of course, just like VIP, and with me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by my plushies, and by the people in the chat as well. Welcome, everyone, to your weekly dose of Korean StarCraft! !B in the chat. If you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves, the bracket, it's big, it's large, it's stacked, and we have our first two starting players. We're going to be kicking things off with Stats versus Rex in a PvZ. A pretty intense first match to kick things off, and it can lead us to some really interesting places as well. Again, you can check out the bracket yourselves. We'll go over it after the series because we're jumping right into game number 1. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardlead, we have our South Korean Protoss player. The Red Protoss, representing himself, currently team was looking deserving to be on a team. It is the ex-military Protoss, Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Blue Zerg player from the land of Taiwan, representing his new team, Offside. It is Rex. Here we go. Again, Rex was on Onside. Onside is no longer really a team. It's a little bit complicated, but they were acquired. They were acquired by Team Vitality. Onside instead produced a sister team, kind of a branch of team, if you will. And that is what Offside is. I believe Offside is sponsoring and supporting Rex alongside Firefly, alongside Control, and even GGE Mini as well. So yeah, it's really cool to see that Onside / Team Vitality are still willing to support even more than just their main roster. It's really cool to see. And I wonder if they're even willing to compete in WTL. We'll find out. We'll find out in the upcoming season. But until then, we're diving into our PvZ. Again, Stats, you know, a year ago now has returned from the military. He's been improving. He's been getting better and better. He relatively recently, he recently did qualify for IM Katowice, was a part of the main event as well, and he's been having some moments of brilliance. Even a couple of days ago, right? A couple of days ago, we casted ESL Open Cup Americas, and Stats took a game off of Solar, which was impressive. I don't think many people expected that, but Stats, he did pop off, he did make Solar sweat, and hey, was able to make a series out of that. So again, Stats showing us that he has it in him to go with some of the best Zerg players out there in the world. Consistency is really what we're looking for with Stats. You know, he has moments of brilliance, but can we really bring it out when we need it most? That is the question. That is the real question here. Well, that's what he's working on, I should say. For now, Gate expand into the Cyber Core. Do have that double gas as well from Stats. So standard opener from our Protoss player. We force the unnatural natural out of Rex, as to be expected, and Rex is just going for a standard opener himself, going for the hatch gas pool. Nothing out of the norm yet. No early gases, no fast third base, no prioritization of roaches or lair. Likewise, our tech of choice is a Stargate. Based on the pylon placement, again, Stargate opener made plenty of sense here for Stats. His goal here is to go Oracles, to get across the map, to get some economic damage done, to expand and take a third base. Everything so far is by the book. Now, if you weren't here couple of days ago, if you weren't here for the Americas Weekly, and if you didn't see Stats versus Solar, essentially what occurred is Stats was able to pull off a bit of an all-in. He played very aggressively. Off of 2-base and then 3-base play, Stats would be very in your face with, I want to say, +1 Blinkstalker timing with 8 gateways, followed by Robo Immortal production, Robo Colossus production, and he failed to do so in Game 1. He succeeded in Game 2. Game 2, he was able to really get into his stride against Solar and execute his build, but it was the same build 2 games in a row. I'm curious if it's going to be the same build here, where we go into a very Blinkstalker heavy aggression in the aftermath of this opener, leading into double Robo Colossus. We shall see. Likewise, I believe, if I remember correctly, he did take the game off of Solar on Hardlead, just because of how small the map is, just because of how unforgiving this map can be, as we get a couple of drone kills. The Oracle does manage to barely get away. 3 drones in total. I just realized we do not have WCS Game Heart. I will message the players about that in the future game, in game number 2. Until then, we have to count, Bobby. We have to count. Do have to count. As So now Stats, he is going to be getting into his third base, as we did mention. Oracle's going to be threatening across the map. They're going to be massing, they're going to be dipping in between the bases here, in between both the third and the natural. So far, no major damage dealt. I appreciate that we're even picking up some of these tumors, slowing down the aggression of Rex. And there's that follow-up. Twilight Council is on the way, but I don't see the Forge. I don't see the +1. So an interesting follow-up here from Stats. We'll keep an eye out for the Forge and more gateways being thrown down. This is looking very committed. The reason why I say this could be Glaives, this could be Blink, but if it is Blink, I would imagine more gateways thrown down behind this. So we'll keep an eye on Stats on how all-in he wants to be. The reason why I say all-in, again, without the Forge, without +1, our longevity in this game just isn't really there. We aren't really thinking further ahead from the side of Stats. As the Ups, they break their way through, they trade with the Lings, they blink the hell out of there, and we still have 3 Oracles to support. There it is, Blink is on the way. This looks like an old school 3-base Blink all-in. I say it looks like it, we'll keep an eye on the gateways. If we go up to 8 gates, then that's going to be it. So far, we throw down 2 more, that's going to be 6 gates in total. Still very aggressive here from Stats on 3 bases. Hasn't teched up any further, no Robo, no Forge, no Templar Archives. We'll see if additional gateways are thrown down. So do pick off an Overlord here in the center of the map. Overlord is going to be shut down. We do see Rex going for a safety Roach run, getting his own Evo Chamber up and running. Rex is going to be working with Ling Roach here initially. He's going to be working with a Ling Roach army, but Stats is going to be very in his face. This does look very similar to the all-in that he did against Solar, where he's going to be hyper aggressive with Blink Stalkers. He's going to be going for another big warp in, reinforcing, pushing, and then behind this, still no Forge. He'll go for a Bay and a Robo and into Colossus. Yeah, there we go. Pylon has been thrown down. The all-in is upon us. Ay, ay, ay. With this, we can, of course, reinforce here on the front lines. Stalkers are pushing out, and the pressure is on Rex. Can he slow this down? Again, it took him a little bit to really recognize what was going on. Roaches are coming out. Stasis Trap does connect here with some of these Lings. Good stasis. Creating a force field. There we go. Big warp in here on the front lines. Right here to reinforce for Stats. Keeping the pressure up. Lings are getting shaved off, and now we're getting some of the Queens. We get one. One Queen goes down, and you can see that Rex, he's barely holding on. Lings are running out. And again, we have to hold on to these Queens. Transfuse barely keeps on alive a little bit longer, but it does go down. And so the Blink, so far the Blinks have been on point. Keeping these Stalkers alive. Another Stasis gets baited up, but there are so many Stalkers. There's just too many. Too many at this point. Lings are going down. We can dive on top of the army, on top of the Queen. How many Stalkers have we lost? 4 Stalkers for 52 Lings. An insane trade. And again, behind this, there's no follow-up. Now we throw down the Robo and the Forge. This will be for +1 for eventually Colossus production, as we mentioned. But I don't think we need it. Like, Stats, he's been trading so well already, but he needs to get on top of the Roaches. That's a dangerous thing right now. He's been killing Lings. What about the Roaches? What about them? The Bile gets thrown down on the Stasis, does shut it down. Baliness on the way, +1 finishing up Roach Speed, just now done as well. Yeah, Stats has been killing a lot of Lings, but only 3 Roaches have fallen. And because of that, the Roach count has been slowly getting higher and higher here for Rex. So far, it has been a good defense. And Stats just hasn't barely been able to break through. Behind this, 2 more gateways, by the way, so it is going to be up to 8 gates. 4th base thrown down. Rex is going to be able to push this back. He's going to be able to force this away. Stasis gets triggered on only 3 Lings. Only 3 of those Lings. And Stats, he is losing ground. He is losing ground. Rex, he feels confident enough to drone. He's going to be saturating his bases. And the problem here, because all this tech is late, because all of this tech is delayed, Stats is in a really difficult position. He didn't have a lot of longevity coming into this, and Rex is snowballing out of control. Rex is the one with the better economy. Rex is the one with the better upgrades. Infestation Bit's on the way for eventually Hive Tech. Like, Rex is getting further ahead. And we'll see what he can make use of that lead, as he's going to get supply blocks for a moment. Overlord does go down. Roach is rotating over towards the left-hand side. Pick up a couple of those roaches behind this. We're working towards Charge, Temple Archives, Archon Production. Instead of going for the Colossus, we're going for Storm. So I like that we're kind of going in a different direction. We're making use of the Robo, making Immortals as many as we can. We're trying to produce an anti-roach army as quickly as possible. Rex should be the first to max out. He hasn't droned too much though. His 5th is late. His 5th base is delayed here. As a result, we don't have 80 workers. As a result, we're not maxing out as quickly as we otherwise could, as we otherwise should. So even though Rex has held, he's still not in the perfect position. Maybe a better way of putting it. So this could still go either way. Stasis traps being triggered once again on Lings. That's a lot of stasis traps. A lot of traps, Pappy, as Rex, he has to pull back at the same time, moving forward here with his Ling Bane. Catches some of these Stalkers, not the best trade. Banelings, they head towards the middle line. Quick reaction out of stats. He does wall off. Does he, though? He doesn't. The Banelings, they roll in. Quick blink there out of stats. Shuts down the Banelings. Again, they tickle Stalkers. They do barely any damage to them. We tank the Banelings. We save the probes. Good defense so far. Rex rotates around. Heads towards the natural base. Going for the Stalkers. The Stalkers doesn't quite find a way in. Immortals are amassing in the natural base. Oh! They are amassing. Meanwhile, with that Hive Tech, I was not expecting this direction to be taken, but we're working towards Ultras. I mean, we have +2 melee, May as well. Ultra production on the horizon here for Rex. Rex has been able to get his 5th up and running. Still, we're lacking drones. Again, I'm really concerned with the lower drone count, but we'll see if Rex can sustain himself. Oh, as workers not droning, not mining here on the right-hand side. And stats, he's pushing through towards the center. Storm is done. Big storm here on the Ling Bane. Oh my god. Yeah, we take the storms to the face. Rex pulling back at the same time. Blinkstalker's pushing on the right-hand side. And can Rex defend? He's trying to come in from behind. He's trying to collapse on this from behind, but he gets caught out by the Stalker army. The Roach Ravager cannot engage. And Rex, he plummets in supply. Yeah, he bleeds out far too many roaches. The fight did not go well. Again, he was caught out, tried to surround, but he got caught, and the Mass Blink Stalker, snowballing out of control, breaks through the Overlords. Breaks through into the natural. GG gets called, and Stats will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh, share my papi, share my. GG, well played. Stats, he was able to bring it back. Again, his initial... Hold on, I should fix this. His initial 3-base all-in did not work, is what I will say. Rex had a really nice defense. I have to kind of put a little bit more emphasis on the fact that Rex did not really lose any roaches in the defense, right? He was only bleeding out Lings. He bled out 2 queens as well, but nothing too major, so he was able to hold his own. The follow-up after the initial 3-base all-in defense, that is where Rex struggled. That is where Rex wasn't as greedy as he could have been, as he should have been. He wasn't able to get into his 5th, wasn't able to get up to 80 workers, and he wasn't able to sustain himself and keep up with the second all-in, the second push from Stats. That is where he was lacking. And with that, Stats did snowball out of control. Rex, he was trying to set up for surrounds and of the like, but again, things just escalated far too quickly, out of control. And Stats takes a lead in the series. Does take a lead, and now we're getting into game number 2, and can Rex bounce back? Again, I do think both Stats and Rex are pretty comparable in skill, especially after what we just saw. I do think there was opportunities for Rex, as there were for Stats. So, personally, I'm hoping for an ace match. I'm hoping we can go all the way, we can go the distance, and make it to game number 3. But the pressure is now on our Zerg player. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have our red Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless, looking deserving to be on the team, leading the series 1-0. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Taiwanese Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing team offside. It is Rex. Offside, he is... Oh, offside. Rex, he is struggling a little bit in this series. The pressure is on again. It's only a best of 3, so one more misstep, one more loss, And that is the end of Rex's tournament run. So he has to fight back here and now. And what's important about what we just saw is that Stats has been whipping out a lot of 3-base play these past couple of weeks. We pointed out that that's how he was able to take a game off of Solar with a 3-base all-in. With the 3-base timing, I should say, from Solar. Here in game 1 against Rex, it was just a straight up 3-base all-in, where he was able to transition out of it. So he hasn't really shown us too much, and I'm sure he has many more builds up his sleeve. So we'll keep an eye on Stats. We'll keep an eye on his worker count, on the base counts, on how many gateways he has, and on his tech, or even his lack of tech. Keep an eye on Stats. Meanwhile, Rex, Hatchgas Pool, standard opener. If he wanted to be aggressive here, offside is difficult for the Zerg player to go for something like a 3-base all-in. Hard lead would have been a good map for it because the short rush distance on hard lead. That's also why I think that it works even better for Stats, as he was aggressive on a smaller map. The problem with side delta, longer rush distance by ground compared to hard lead. On top of that, we have a ramp. We have a ramp coming into the natural base. It is much more defendable, much more difficult to break. So again, aggression is a little bit more difficult, or it's harder to pull off. Not impossible, but harder here on this map instead. So we shall see how our players will approach it. Overlord comes in, we confirm the opener, confirm the gate expand into Cybercore. We have our tech of choice. Once again, Pylon thrown down on the edge of the main base. It is going to be a Stargate opener from Stats. This should be leading once again into Oracles. This isn't really the best setup for something like a Void Ray opener, so Oracles into a 3rd base, into triple Oracle, should be on the horizon once again. Now, speaking of this standard opener, what I will say is that Rex had really good defense. If you remember, only 3 drones went down to Oracle Harass. Very impressive stuff there by Rex to be able to hold his own and to be able to minimize his losses against those Oracles initially. We'll see if he can do it again. If not, then even Stats could snowball out of control. Again, you have to defend, and everything's like on a fine knife's edge here early on. If Rex gets caught out of position, then things can very quickly escalate, as the Oracle is on the way. Is going to be on the way. Likewise, Adepts are moving out through the center. Going to be shading across the map. Once again, we have our second gateway. When it comes to these 2 Adepts, they can be quite threatening, but we have to babysit them. They can one-shot drones. 2 Adepts do one-shot a worker, which is quite terrifying. But at the same time, if they get caught out, if they get shut down, then your 3rd base is that much more vulnerable. And very quickly, the Zerg player can punish and deny your 3rd if you lose your Adepts. So we cancel the shade. Oracle comes in, heads towards the main base. Queens are in position, no Spore. And we will get 1 drone. We barely get a 2nd worker as well. We take a lot of hull damage. The Oracle will escape. 2 drones for now is okay, as long as we keep the Oracle alive. As long as we keep it alive here. 2nd Oracle's moving out at the same time. Lings are moving out across the map. Those 2 Adepts that were harassing, they should be back at home, and we don't quite have the best setup here because the Adepts are across the map. Oh. They are across the map instead. We shade into the natural. Queens are in position. Very good body blocking here. The Adepts, they don't get in. They don't get any damage whatsoever. The Lings, they come back home, and the Adepts, they get shut down. Not a single drone falls. Very nice defense. At the same time, Oracle was able to not quite get a worker. 0 kills on the Oracle. Queens are in position as well. Really clean defense out of Rex. Very similar to the last game, as the Oracles are forced back. Adepts were killed. Now Lings coming for a counterattack. Thankfully, we worked in additional Adepts. Oh, and that is an early lair. That is a 4-minute 40 lair timing. I'm curious what this will be for. At the same time, Stats, same build, no Forge. Twilight Council, no Forge in the main base. This looks like we're going up to 6 gates again. Meanwhile, Lings, they get across the map. They kill both Adepts. Both Adepts will go down. We collapse here on one of the Stalkers as well. Very nice surface area. The Stalker should barely go down. So really nice pickoffs here by Rex, punishing the fact that the Adepts did fall earlier. But outside of that, what about the follow-up push? There it is. As mentioned before, 6 gateways. 2 gateways here at the natural, 4 gateways in the main base. No Forge, no +1, no Robo. It's going to be 6 gate Blink Stalkers. We're pushing out on 3 bases, the same build as game 1. And we'll see if Rex can have a better response this time. Meanwhile, big shout out in the chat. Oh my god, Bappy. Shout out to Psych_SC2 for gifting some subs, gifting 5 subs to the community, to Arez, to iTurtle, Angry Ben, Let Me Play With Your Kitties, and Arn. Stay away from my kitties. Regardless, thank you so much for the gifted subs. We appreciate the support. Gracias, papi, gracias. Thanks to the support that we get on the channel, we can, of course, fund our own events, and we do host a weekly tournament that we hosted yesterday, the Sparkling Tunica. Thank you. Thank you, papi. Thank you. Meanwhile, the 3-way Sol-In is here. The proxy pylon has been thrown down. We can reinforce on the front lines. If this looks familiar, it should, because again, same build as game number 1. I mean, hey, it kind of worked in game 1, so why not do it here in game number 2? But again, this time, Rex, I'm sure, is better mentally prepared. He also had a better start to the game. He was able to trade better. He lost and minimized his drone damage, his worker losses. Stasis Trap is set up. Oh! Stasis Trap is baited out here by only 3 Lings. 1 Stalker almost gets picked off. So far, no major losses here for Rex. Stats, the pressure is on. Another big warp in. 6 Stalkers at a time. That's a lot of Stalkers, Pappy. That is a lot of Stalkers. This is a faster transition. Okay, Stats, he's not feeling it. If you remember, we were attacking for a solid minute or 2 for Stats before he did back off. Now, Forge is on the way. Robo is on the way. 2 more gateways. That's the 7th and 8th gateway. Stats is not feeling confident. He's already backing up from the all-in. Does apply some pressure. But again, Rex, he is looking strong. He does have his army. He's amassing his roaches, his lings. Much faster infestation bit this time. Much faster pits into Bailey Nest as well. Do we have Roach speed? We do. If you remember, we got a faster lair that led into very fast Roach speed. If you remember earlier, last game it did finish alongside +1 melee. This time, much earlier. +1 range is on the way. Interesting. Okay, with +1 range, this is going to be telegraphing as Lings, they get in. Oh my god. Lings, they bust into the main. But +1 range telegraphs that this time we're not rushing into Ultras. Ultras that never came to fruition in game number 1. Remember, Rex, he teched up the Hive, and he never got to make use of the Hive. Here, with +1 range, this feels like we're heading towards Hydra Lurker Viper. Feels like we're headed towards an army that benefits more from Hydras and Lurker, from +1 range, which would be Hydras and Lurkers. Hive is on the way. That'll be for Adrenal. That'll be for Viper Tech. But now we're sticking with Lingbane Roach Ravager. We collapse on the Stalkers. Ooh, a lot of Stalkers go down. Yeah, late reaction there from Stats. Big Stasis Traps, but still bleeds out Stalkers. Ooh, almost losing another. At the same time, Rex was able to scout the main base. I believe Rex saw the Storm. Let me just quickly double check. He saw the Temple Archives. Didn't see it researching, but Storm would make a lot of sense, especially compared to what happened last game. In game 1, we did go into Storm, charge into Immortals, into Archons. And there it is. As we mentioned, there's that Hydra Den. Again, +1 range leads into Hydras and Lurkers, which is what Rex is going for. I do like this a lot more because it's less risky than rushing into Ultras. We can actually get into Hydra Lurker in time for a fight, unlike the previous game. So this is going to be a faster and cleaner transition from Rex. Thought of well ahead of time. We do have Stalkers hitting that forward base. We deny the 5th. Oh, this is dangerous. Stage Trap goes off. Lings, they get us around. We force a recall. And we barely do save some of the Stalkers, but big Vials do connect. Stalkers, they get punished. A handful of them do escape, but a big catch there by Rex. And again, he needs a 5th base. It may even be worth double expanding. It may be worth it. There it is. Lurker Den is on the way. Adrenal as well. Soon to be Lurker upgrades. Rex, he is successfully taking up into Hydras and into those Lurkers. He needs a little bit more time. Meanwhile, Stats takes a 4th. Stats, he takes a 4th base. Looking to go for a bit of a longer game as well. Stage Trap goes off. Storms are amassing. That's a lot of High Templar. That is a lot of Storm. 5 Storms. Ay, ay, ay. And Storms, they work wonders against Lings and against Hydras, but what about Lurkers? As we have Dropalords on the way. Oh, wait, what? Okay. I was not expecting this. We have 6 Dropalords on the way here. I imagine for the Lings, maybe the Roaches as well. I mean, that's definitely a way to harass. Risky maneuver here from Rex. We'll see if it pays off. Dropalords are on the way. Overlord speed still halfway done. We're getting there. All the stats. He's going to be checking up that ramp. Does come across the Banelings. Will shut them down. Yeah, they are going to be cancelled. Good pick up there by stats. At the same time, on the right-hand side, the Oracles, they get eyes on the other base. Sorry, on the other army. On that secondary army. We are double expanding, as we did mention earlier, but these are still late 5th bases. But Rex has been able to join up to 86. Is going to have to main out over. He's oversaturated. But he has a good economy. Lurker upgrades are on the way. Do we have any lurkers yet? 7 lurkers are in production. And here comes stats. Drop lords are caught out. Ooh, big supply block there for Rex. I mean, I say big supply block, but there were 4 overlords on the way. But he's basically maxed out. And the lurkers, we've survived. The win condition here for Rex, or at least his goal in this game, was to survive long enough to get into lurkers, and we've done it. Now, we don't have the ideal army. We don't have any Vipers. Hydra Lurker Viper, I mean, it's a solid unit composition for a reason. We are pushing forward. Roaches are getting picked up. The spine shots are brutal. Oh my god. They brutalize those stalkers. The rest of the army going to be rotating over as all the storms they have arrived. At the same time, though, I believe Rex setting up for a counterattack. The Lings, they get caught out by the Zealots. Stats he sees, he knows. And he has Archons in position. Archons, cannons, shield batteries. He's ready for a counterattack. Yeah, he is ready for Rex. Ooh, and we're taking up into Sky Toss. Let's go. Stargate. Second Stargate's on the way. Fleet Beacon as well. Stats, he's turtling. At this point, I think he recognizes, especially with lurkers, we cannot push in. We cannot push into this army. It's not going to happen. So we may as well turtle and force you to push into me. So I like this outlook from stats. Again, basically it's, hey, come at me. Otherwise, I'm going to come out with mass carrier, with mass Sky Toss, and I'm going to outscale you. Now, thankfully, for Rex, we already have a Spire. And a greater Spire on the way. We have Neural in production, 3-3. Stalkers are trying to push in. Archon Immortal on the right-hand side. Stats is maxed out. He does need to trade out his army. He needs to free up supply for carriers. As he's only making 1. He only has room for 1. Gonna be able to clear up some creep. Rotate around. Clearing out whatever he can. Meanwhile, Rex setting up for a surround. It is scouted. And Stats should be backing up. No, he keeps on pushing. Lurkers, they do reposition. We try to get on top of them. Ooh, but a mass amount of storms. We zone away the army. A little bit wasteful, sure, but again, we have plenty of storms to make use of. Stats, he will pull back. And we still have more storms available. So it's going to be difficult to engage. And again, throughout all of this, +1 air attack, +3 attack is on the way. Overseer in the main base was spotted, I believe, by Stats. He's going to be checking. He's going to shut it down. Likewise, Overlord's being shut down as well. It's a really nice cleanup. At the same time, Rex pushes through the left-hand side. He's going for the 4th base. Going for the 5th even. And no saturation, thankfully, for Stats. So even if he loses this, he won't lose a lot of probes. Yeah, 2 probes go down. Static defense is dealt with. At the same time, Stats breaks through on the right-hand side. He's pushing, but it looks like this Nexus should fall. Again, not the most important base for Stats. He's taking a center base instead. And can Rex hold? Can he survive the counterattack of Stats? Ooh, as we are pulling, we can keep going. We are pulling back with some of our lurkers. We keep some behind to kill the base. Yeah, and you can see the lurkers, they are in position. They stop any kind of move out. I assume Stats could maybe break the base on the right-hand side, but he didn't go for it. Oh, no. We pepper away at the army. Oh, 1 lurker goes down. The base survived. Okay, I was like, did the base survive? No, it's being rebuilt. It's being retaken. Stats once again pushing forward. But Stats has no intention of committing because of those carriers. Shuts down some of the overlords, gets an overseer, retreats. Backs off, takes the center base. Again, Stats dancing with the army. A delicate dance here between stats and these lurkers. Another lurker goes down. Big storm on the Hydras. Broodlords have revealed themselves. But the carriers have arrived. And how much anti-air do we have? How many corruptors do we have left over? 0. 0 corruptors. Every corruptor was just morphed into these Broodlords. And they're not going to help too much. Not against the Sky Toss. Hatchery goes down. Oh, can we get a High Templar? Can we take the storms to the face? Cloak is used. No detection. Oh, no Overseer. As we do have to pull back. Spine shots going off here. Yeah, we just mow our way through all these lurkers. They're going to be going down. Stats, he has a lot of momentum going his way. Can he break through? Looks like he will take down the Hydras and the Queens. Army is being forced back. Of course, Cloak did run out. Behind this, a bit of lurker harass here in the center base, but we do recall over. Shut down the lurker. And as the dust does settle, Rex, again, he was already working on air upgrades. 18 corruptors on the way. That's a lot of corruptors. 18 corruptors. How many Broodlords do we have? 11. We kept most Broodlords alive. How many did we lose? Any? No, not at all. Not a single Broodlord died. We're done with Hydra Lurker Viper. We're now about Broodlord Corruptor Infestor. At least that's what we should be working towards. No Infestors yet. No Spellcasters to speak of. But the Broodlords are breaking through. They get on top of the center base at the same time. Stats pushing on the left-hand side. Or pushing towards the south. Does deny the fresh mining base. But likewise, yeah, this base of Stats will also fall. 6th base is taken out. That's breaking through. He just took down one hatchery. He's going to get another as well. And Rex, he's racing back home. Now remember, a very important thing. Stats just recalled. Remember, he recalled here earlier to kill that one lurker. Recall is on cooldown. And the mothership is with the army, which means we can cash this out. Rex going for the dive. And there's no way out from here. Stats in a bit of trouble. How good are the storms going to be? He needs to zone away those corruptors. There we go. Zoning storms are thrown down, and Stats, he's making it back home. In a very tense moment. If he stuck around a little bit longer, then he would have been surrounded. He would have been swallowed up by Rex. Kills the base, backs off, stalks on the right-hand side. They take down a lurker, deny more mining, and Rex, his economy is in shambles. His economy is struggling right now. He's on 54 workers, barely any mining going on. The hatchery may go down as well. Rex being pulled apart. He's responding with his corruptors. His control group's a little bit messed up there. Corruptors, they can't do anything against that army. The Broodlords, they stand strong, and a base goes down. What army are we working with? And the problem is that we can't move the Broodlords out of position, or they're so slow. Stalker falls, but we kill the base. And Stats, he's still in the driver's seat. Now, Rex has a super maxed army. Rex, he can win a fight. He can win a fight, then kill a base. But he's got to be quick. He has to be quick because Stats, he's building up a bank, and Stats, he can remax. He can remax his army. So these small trades and small skirmishes aren't going to be as viable. +3 melee is, of course, done for Rex. Lings turning back around. Stalkers clearing up a lot of creep here in the center. And Rex, we gotta go. We have to send it, man. You see him just trying to wait for the army to expose itself. Stalkers are caught out. That's going to be a lot of Stalkers falling. Efficient trade for Rex. What kind of army are you working with? We have 8 High Templar. 4 High Templar with the main army. There's a lot of Storms available as well. That's the problem right now. The biggest problem right now for Rex is those High Templar. If he can deal with them, then we can die. Then everything else will be cleaned up by the Mass Corruptor. +2 air attack is done for Rex. +2 flyer attack. We have a good amount of lurkers back at home to defend. Now, unfortunately, Rex, I believe he doesn't see the main army. Doesn't fully know where it is. Otherwise, we could ship away at it with the Broodlords. That's the ideal. You chip away at it, you can maybe get 1 High Templar, maybe an Archon here or there. At the same time, we catch out the army. Oh, we get an Immortal! And a good amount of Stalkers. Yeah, we get us around here. The Immortals are all going to go down. Big pickoffs by Rex. Meanwhile, the Stalker army is being reinforced, and Stats, he's pushing onto creep. Pushing into the main army. Ooh. Storm thrown down. Zoning back those Corruptors. Yeah, Rex trading well towards the north. He's holding on towards the south, but we can't be passive like this. Because Stats, he's building up a bigger and bigger bank. Rex, he's not. He doesn't have any drones. He's on 38 workers. And Rex, he's not re-droning. We need to. We're on less than 40 workers right now. Our base is going to go down. Rex, he's all in. Like, Rex is pretty all in at this point. And he's bleeding out lurkers. Expensive losses for Rex. Infestor's on the way. Rex, he has to respond. He gets caught out of position. Stats, he's on top of a base already. We'll get the hatchery. Corruptors are coming in. Oh. Storms do send him away. We get an Oracle. It's something. Cloak is activated. Cloak is going to be activated. We do pull back. And we still are not droning. We still don't have much saturation going on, or we couldn't saturate the right-hand base. Yeah, Stats, he's in the driver's seat. Going to be recalling to the left-hand side, and his goal here to hit this base as well. And Rex, once again, out of position. He's on the right-hand side. Now is the moment. Statsy comes in. That's a kill, not a cancel on the hatchery. Hatchery goes down. The army's pushing in. The base is exposed, and this is the most crucial mining base for Rex. He cannot afford to lose it. This is keeping him in this game, and the base, it's going to be going down. Yeah, no bases left here for Rex. He's got half a base here towards the south. He's got like one mineral patch here at his third. His economy is non-existent. He can still take a fight, but it's not going to be enough. Good feedback. Feedback by Stats, followed by the Storm. Will lose a High Templar. Yeah, Stats just taking that center base once again. Corruptors, oh, once again they threaten a dive. Don't quite commit. So run by collapses on these lings, gets a lurker. And we get on top of these queens as well, and Stats is pulling Rex apart, getting a lot of value already, getting Hydras. Broodlords, they turn back around. Main army tries to push in. Again, Stats still being very careful with the main fight. It makes sense. I mentioned earlier, and I still stand by it, Rex can win a fight and then dive on top of bases. And it's possible, especially depending on how much Stats loses in the fight, it's possible that Rex could try to snowball out of control and win, just because it takes so long to rebuild Skytoss. Instead, we're going to have to rely on like Stalker Warpins against Broodlords, which is less than ideal. So the remax of Stats, it's going to take some time. So there is a bit of a win condition there, or a way to win for Rex. It's just not easy. Gets a carrier. Good yoink. Does get a carrier. Looking for another. Again, how many Corruptors? We're on 32 Corruptors. Like the Skytoss is not really too much of a factor here against that many Corruptors. We're just waiting for Rex to pull the trigger as we take down another base. Again, it's the Gateway army that's been killing bases non-stop, like doing incredible trades, taking down bases. We bust into the natural base. Nidus is going to be going down. And what's happening right now is that, again, Rex is being pulled apart. The Broodlords are out of position. We can push in. Without the Broodlords, there's no answer to the High Templar. You have the Cloak. Big Fungal. Feedback's thrown down on the Vipers, but a Power Bomb does not quite connect. Only the Fungals. The Neural on the Stalker. And we go for the dive. The Corruptors, they focus down the Mothership. They focus down the carriers, but big storms on the army. Oh my god, the storms are insane, and the Corruptors are forced back. GG gets called. Stats takes the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Stats as he does take the series 2-0. Pretty tense game, especially early on, but Stats, he was able to successfully get into his own sky toss. He was able to survive the Lurker Viper. Sorry, the Hydra Lurker. It wasn't even Hydra Lurker Viper. It was a bit of a back and forth. I did love that Rex adapted and he rushed into Lurkers the way that he did. Rex had a lot of success there. He had a big power spike and was able to defend. But if you remember, he wasn't able to make use of the Lurkers. Like, he wasn't able to make use of them aggressively. And as soon as the Lurkers arrived, Stats was like, okay, I cannot push in. It's not going to happen. I cannot break you. What I'm going to do, second Stargate, Fleet Beacon, Sky Toss. Right? Like, Stats, he recognized the power of the army of Rex, just backed off, let him have it, and just teched up instead. And Rex, in that moment, in that period where Stats was teching, Rex, that was his moment where he had to strike, and he didn't quite strike. Instead, if you remember, he was taking up into Hive Tech, into Corruptors, into Aspire, into a Greater Spire, into Broodlords, and he was prioritizing Broodlords. By the time the Skytoss arrived, there wasn't any Corruptors, so the Skytoss was gaining ground, and we saw that Stats was able to kind of take control of the game from there, and constantly outmaneuver and outposition Rex in the late game. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Stats as he does advance on into the next round. And we can take this moment to have a look at the bracket ourselves and to figure out where we go from here. I do not want to be left behind. Let us quickly slip into some DMs.